Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2. Off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Cassie Spazzali.
Look what you made me do. Look what you made me do.
Jordan Kitchens.
Jordan, 20-footer, head of the key, good!
And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Andrew Lopez works for the Pels. He'll be here in 15 minutes from right now. New Orleans introduced Jaron Pierre. As you heard there, Sports Center top of the hour, the legal tampering window has opened. So how do the Pels look for next year? What moves might be ahead? Draft reaction, all that stuff. We'll do it with Andrew Lopez here in about 15 minutes from right now. Talk some recruiting with Brian Smith in 1 hour. Jay Johnson got some fantastic news on Monday. Nathaniel Davis has announced he is withdrawing from the Major League Draft. He will attend LSU. Made that announcement earlier on his Instagram account with a post that he is, in fact, going to attend LSU. I'll give you the thumbnail here on Nathaniel Davis, who he is as a prospect and why this is significant. So Davis is out of Orlando. He is 6 foot, 180-pounder. If you listen to the show, whenever we've talked about Davis, I guess really when we've talked about the LSU outfield for next season throughout this past month, as they've gone through the portal cycle, I've pretty consistently mentioned Bino Waters and Jason Walks, the 2 portal additions they already have. And then that third outfield spot being likely a platoon between William Patrick and Nathaniel Davis, who they were hoping they'd get to campus, but it was kind of a 50-50 proposition because Davis is one of those guys that is defensively a future major leaguer. Had a big number, but as you look at draft projections, he was pretty routinely outside of the top 200, which means you were probably looking at around 4 to 6 guy. So maybe mid-upper 6 figures is what you would have been talking about as a signing bonus. So for a guy like that, his decision is, okay, well, do I take $500,000, $750,000, go begin my pro career, sort of try to get a faster track toward Major League Baseball, or do I go to campus at LSU, spend 3 years, make NIL money, hopefully become a first-round projection, make up the money that I would have gotten from a signing bonus throughout your LSU career, and then get paid, hopefully, if he's a top 50 pick, a multi-7-figure signing bonus in 3 years and be more developed as a player and closer to the big leagues. That's the decision that Nathaniel Davis had to make, and he's made it as he's withdrawn his name from the Major League Draft and will attend LSU. I spoke to a few scout buddies earlier today, and the best comp that I heard for Davis was Kenny Lofton. Now, if you remember Kenny Lofton, if you're a baseball fan in the 90s, certainly like I was. I mean, I was as a kid, high school, whatever, college, heyday. And Kenny Lofton was a great center fielder. You know, of course, those Indians teams that were great, 97 World Series where they lost the Marlins. But anyway, the way, if you look at sort of the scouting report on Nathaniel Davis, he's a future major leaguer defensively as a center fielder. He does not have home run power. He's a gap-to-gap hitter, doubles hitter. He's a lefty, so his only real power right now is to the pull side. But like we often talk about, the power is often the last tool that comes. It's a rarity to get a guy like Omar Cerna that shows up on campus as a freshman, boom, and already has elite power. That'll come. But Davis has plus speed. He's a plus defender. Great instincts. Average arm, but that's okay. You get him bigger, stronger, that can improve. And I was told there's nobody on the roster right now with the twitchiness that Nathaniel Davis has. And he's a legit base stealing threat. Now, Jay Johnson's teams don't steal a lot of bases, but this is a guy that he gets on is a legitimate base stealing threat. So he is by all accounts, a focused, smart kid. I asked today, and have asked several times, about Davis specifically coming in as a freshman, how he comps to Curiel coming in as a freshman. Now, the advantage Curiel had is Derek Curiel showed up on campus with elite bat-to-ball skills. Curiel's power wasn't and isn't necessarily there, but, I mean, dude got on base like every game as a freshman because great eye, great plate discipline, great bat-to-ball, elite bat-to-ball, and that served Derek Curiel very well. Davis doesn't have that elite bat-to-ball yet, but defensively, he's ahead of where Curiel was then and is now. Better speed, better glove, better instincts, comparable arm. The way that one person described it to me today is balls that Derek Curiel might have to dive for, Davis would make the catch standing up, which is a mouthful because Derek Curiel is about to be a top 15 pick in the draft. So that's the type of defensive ability we're talking about. And so when you look at a guy that maybe as he steps on campus has a way to go offensively, that is less impactful because of the lineup he's joining. Keep in mind, when you look ahead to next year, you've got Cerna and Aaron Beatty and Braun and Milam. Oh, by the way, Bino Waters, who was, by some accounts, the best position player in this portal cycle. And Jason Walks, who was a .330 hitter in 2 years at Tulane. Oh, by the way, you also have Cade Kurland, who was a freshman at 17 bombs at Florida, played 200 games in the SEC. And then there's Dawson Park. So I guess the point is, if Davis comes to campus and wins a job or platoons at one of the outfield spots and doesn't hit a lick, it doesn't matter because you've got 8 other dudes in the lineup that can, as long as he's a plus defender. Think Austin Nola as a freshman when Paul Maneri made that sort of famous switch now, kicking LeMahieu to second because he wanted more double plays. He wanted to be better defensively up the middle. It didn't matter that Nola didn't hit as a freshman. You wanted him in there for his glove. Andrew Stevenson, when he played center as a freshman and hit 180. It didn't matter that he hit 180 because it was like having 2 defenders in one, putting Stevenson in center. So when you think about how it may line up next year, if Davis ends up in the lineup, anything he gives you offensively is Lanyap. Braswell in 25. We had seen Michael Braswell hit. It was just that he rode the struggle bus offensively all year in 25. But he was awesome defensively at third base. I mean, he was a DO. He was a designated out. But he was so good defensively, and the rest of your lineup with Milam and Jones and Fry and Curiel, they all hit, so you could have that guy in the lineup that wasn't necessarily a great producer for you because of what he gave you defensively. So when you think about the lineup for next year, you certainly have Waters and Walks as 2 of your starters, and then William Patrick returning and Nathaniel Davis. This is something I mentioned on the show throughout the last month. Those dudes likely platoon in the first month of the season, and you see if somebody just wrestles that job away and earns the full-time starting job. But even if he's a defensive replacement, it's, my goodness, what a luxury to have that guy on campus for the next 3 years. Now, there's 2 other players we have been keeping an eye on. Alec Blair from Oklahoma and Angel Leia from Oregon. Blair, we talked about last week. His final 2 when he was coming out of high school were Oklahoma and LSU. He picked OU, largely because of Todd Butler. Now, Todd Butler, last Monday, Oklahoma wins the national championship. Then Butler leaves Oklahoma to take a job on Kevin O'Sullivan's staff at Florida. After that, Blair goes into the portal. I'm told it's down to Florida, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss for Blair. LSU's likely out of the running, which leaves Angel Leia from Oregon. I was told today LSU's in it, but it's doubtful, and Georgia's pushing heavily to get Leia. LSU's just already invested a lot of its resources in Waters and Walks, which is awesome. And so your lineup has come together except for that one outfield spot. And if it comes down to two options like Patrick and Davis platooning and battling for that final spot, and you're good at the other 7 everyday spots, or 8 if you include the DH, right? The other 8 spots in the lineup. Okay. Good with it. If you can add Blair or Leia, great luxury. But you don't need it, especially with William Patrick and Nathaniel Davis now as options for that final outfield spot. Big get today for Jay Johnson, is you're going to have Nathaniel Davis on campus for 3 years. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad you're with us. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com. This weekend, drove my brand new Volkswagen Atlas Cross Sport up to Natchitoches. Awesome to see all the technology on the open road. The lane assist, the cruise control, all of the hands-free technology throughout the entire vehicle. I tell you all the time, the great German engineering without the cost, the great gas mileage. It's just an awesome opportunity if you're in the market for a vehicle to go shop at South Point Volkswagen, Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Great German engineering, the best safety features, the highest safety designations that you can get, manufactured in the U.S. of A. at their Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. Go shop, my friends, at South Point Volkswagen today or online at southpointvw.com, southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, it's After Further Review. I do want to get you an update on Marcos Paz as well. That happened Friday after we were off the air. Paz hit the transfer portal, and that's developed a little further since Friday. So we'll get to that in a bit. Let me not get a break. We'll come back. Our buddy Andrew Lopez now works for the New Orleans Pelicans. Will be with us next on AFR.
AFR.
GLO, glowresources.com, glowresources.com. At Glow Resources, they're fond of saying we are complete employer solutions. It used to be complete employee solutions, and then they changed it because they don't work for you, the employee. They work for you, the employer. So if you're the business owner, if you're the HR manager, the hiring manager, if you're the person in your organization responsible for finding the right people to be in the right jobs, you want Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. And at Glow Resources, they're hiring. So you can check out glowresources.com if you're interested in learning more about a career with Glow Resources. Go to glowresources.com/careers to see their available jobs, and you can apply today at Glow Resources. It's Glow Resources and glowresources.com, serving businesses all over the country. It's Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com, complete employer solutions.
After Further Review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
We had one pick, as you guys know, this year in the second round, and we put a lot of work into that one pick because we're trying to hit on every pick that we bring in here, and we don't take any of them for granted.
That was Joe Dumars earlier today as New Orleans introduced Jaron Pierre, the 58th pick of the draft, bringing him home. A St. Aug grad who had a winding college career, but now lands back home in New Orleans as the legal tampering period's opening today as well. Andrew Lopez, good enough to join us, chop it up a little bit. Yo, dude, how are you?
I am good, man. And it was, I'll tell you what, there's not many times in my career covering the NBA as a fan of the NBA for longer where you've seen this much excitement about a 58th pick. But anytime you're in a position where it's your only pick, as you heard Joe D say at the top, it's your only pick, and you have to nail that pick. It's good to be in a position where you can see it be, a local kid who has certainly earned his way into being an NBA draft pick.
All right, let's talk about the player. Why do they like him?
Yeah. He, 6'6", 210, a wing. It was kind of funny. We were in there today after the press conference. He puts the jersey on. I think he even took some pictures of what are St. Aug jerseys. Yeah. He's taking pictures with Pierre the Pelican because we can't just have one person with Pierre on the back of their jersey now. Now we have multiple.
That's so good.
So he's taking pictures with everybody, and I can tell you this. His family was in there. They were more concerned about taking pictures with Pierre the Pelican than they were Pierre the actual Pelican who will play on the floor. So they're in there taking pictures. It was a fun environment. But as it finished, he's in his jersey. He's walking back. He's kind of doing the thing. He's got a ball in his hands. He's just kind of walking across the gym. And you see him stop and talk to Jamal Mosley, new head coach. And I think we all kind of saw maybe that video that kind of went viral last week of Jamal Mosley working Derek Queen out on the football field, the old voodoo football field that's in behind the Pelicans facility, next to the Saints indoor facility. Jamal's out there working with him. And today, as we're walking off the court, he goes and talks to Coach Mosley for 2 minutes. And Coach Mosley is getting in a defensive stance and showing him something right there. And that's something he wants to learn. They want to teach. They see some things in him. Obviously, he was a guy who could score at college, over 2,000 points, hit over 300 threes in his career, was Conference USA Player of the Year 2 years ago, and decided, he had a chance to come out. It actually worked out for the Pelicans last season before deciding to put his name back in the NBA draft, or back into college, I should say. Goes to SMU, excels at the ACC level. I think he was the 6th or 7th leading scorer in the ACC this year, and really turned himself into a player. And they like some of those tools. They like that toughness. They like what could be there with the defensive versatility. They obviously still want to see that. But this is a kid who wants to be here. Obviously, now gets a chance to play for a team that he kind of grew up watching, which is just a cool story.
Yeah. At _Andrew_Lopez is where you can get him. Andrew Lopez is our guest. Typically, Andrew, the 58th pick is the definition of a flyer, right, in the NBA. This feels like more than that. Like, the team, you're there, you come every day. Is this more than just a flyer?
I think this speaks to something that we've seen in the NBA over the last 4 to 5 years, is the second round has been less. These are the talents of the guys who are 31 to 60 on most people's boards. And more so you see, traditionally, these are guys kind of somehow steering where they want to go in some cases, or you have some agents who steer guys to being undrafted so they can get to a team of their choice. I think this is a case of, this is a team that they knew, the Pels knew this is the guy that they wanted. It sounds like it. They've seen him, again, worked out last year, came back, worked out this year, and they saw the improvement. He saw the improvement. He knew he did better than this. And I think he had a little inkling that they liked him, that at worst, if they didn't pick him up there, they were going to try to bring him in probably at least to be on the Summer League team and give him a chance to make it. But they saw the talent. They saw it rising. They felt this was the guy that they needed to go after and try to make a solid pick for, and not leave it to chance. And they wanted to go and grab him again with that 58th pick. And I think you saw the excitement today. This is, again, we talk about, you don't see this much excitement for a 58th pick. I've never seen a 58th pick win a press conference the way he did today. I mean, maybe it's because he's 23 and he turns 24 next week. Maybe it's because he's been to 4 different colleges and he's been around. We were sitting there doing a mic check for a one-on-one, and usually they just have a guy count to 10. They're like, oh, yeah, we're just going to check the mics real quick. He grabs the mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check, 1, 2, you got that, mic check, 1, 2. I'm like, this kid is a professional. Like, he knows what he's doing out there. So, like, he's gotten all this experience. And even mentioned, look, Southern Miss, Wichita State, Jacksonville State, SMU. He goes, I've played for different people. I've played for 4 different schools. I've played for different coaches. I've had different teammates. I know what it takes to adapt my game and my role at this level, which I think is another reason he's going to be a success. A success for the 58th pick. You're making a team. You're trying to get a contract. You're performing in the G League. Helps that you now have the Lake Town Squadron. Your G League team is going to be right there in Kenner. All of these things kind of help, but I think he's kind of one of these. To me, it's not so much a flyer, but maybe more of a little bit of a chance that we're taking on a guy who we feel a little bit stronger about.
Andrew Lopez is our guest, sideline reporter for the Pels. He's at _Andrew_Lopez. If you want to get him on X. I don't think anyone believes that adding a late second-round pick is the cure-all for a team that won 26 games. So we know that they were actively trying to get back into round one. What work is left to do on this roster?
It's funny because there's guys on this roster who I think when you look at it from a perspective of, so many guys were named in trades, and I got to be a little careful about that. But
sure,
it's one of these things where I think, to me, I would like, if I was a fan of a team, that certain guys would have certain prices, and you're not going to compromise those things. I think that's a good thing to me.
Agreed.
But I think the one thing that this has done is they understand that, and I think you go back to some of the things that Joe Dumars and Troy Weaver said. They know this isn't acceptable. They want to see more. I think some of the work that has been put in from some of these guys, I think you're going to see a little bit more. Zion especially. Zion's talked about that. I think we've seen some glimpses of some of the things that have been put out on social media about him. But I think from what they're doing, I think Joe Dumars, Troy Weaver, and company, I think all of them are going to look at any chance available that they have into making this team better, because they know, especially now, you look, it's harder now to just to outright tank, if you will,
sure,
because of the new draft odds. So it's not something where you can just say, oh, let's just trade everybody, it will be bad for a couple of years. Being bad now might get you the 10th pick in the draft. Being bad now might get you 10th or 11th if you're not in that certain group. So it's one of those things where you kind of have to evaluate everyone, and they'll do that. Everything kind of gets going tomorrow. You've seen a bunch of stuff already happen today around the league. There's a bunch of team options being declined or picked up, or player options today. Today's the deadline for that. Everything can get going tomorrow. So I think they're going to explore every option available to them to improve this team while not compromising in any way, shape, or form.
I'm going to ask you one more kind of a bit of a veer here, because many people know that you started covering the Pelicans for ESPN when they drafted Zion.
Yep.
And then ESPN moved you to San Antonio to effectively do the same thing when San Antonio drafted Wemby.
Yep.
Okay. I just got to know your thoughts on what's happened with Wemby and the Spurs, from making the NBA Finals to now everyone's kind of looking at Wemby cross-eyed. At least that feels like the public national narrative. What was your perspective watching a team that you saw built from Wemby's first day to making it to the finals this year and everything that transpired in that finals loss to the Knicks?
It's funny because it's weird to look at it as an employee of another basketball team. But to me, it was, I liked watching it. I won't lie, because I saw the work that they put in. I saw the drive. And I think there's even people who were in San Antonio who thought making the NBA Finals in Wemby year 3 was a stretch. To see them do it was one. And I think in this day and age of social media, I think it's hard for anyone in sports to stay, to use a wrestling term, to stay a baby face the whole time. I feel like everybody's got a hater out there that's going to turn the narrative on them no matter what. It's hard to find guys who are just universally loved across any sport anymore. And it felt like Victor had that appeal. It felt like Giannis had that appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 32 trade demands later, people started to turn on Giannis. And a Kalshi thing later, people started to turn on Giannis. And I think one elbow to Naz Reid's neck started to change that a little bit for Wemby. And to me, it was funny because I saw him. This is, some people thought it was like a bit of an act for him to do like the ethics of basketball thing, ethical basketball, all that stuff that he was talking about. And that's just him. Like, all that kid wants to do is win and play basketball. That is it. And so some of the things he says are going to come off a little harsh sometimes. I don't think it's an act. I don't think it's anything. Like, that's just who he is. And I think that some fans are like, oh, he's putting he's putting on an act because the NBA is trying to make him the face of the league, or he's doing this or he's doing that. And I don't see it. I mean, I was there. I like the kid. I like the thing that the team that they put around him. I think it's a genuine thing, but I just think in this day and age, especially when you're going against New York turns somebody into a villain every year, whether it's Trae Young, whether it's Tyrese Halliburton, guys who were almost loved before by a lot of people. They're going to turn people against them because it's New York and the fans and the media, and everybody's going to catch on to that. But to me, it was fun to watch, but I didn't get all of the Wemby hate that I saw everybody else kind of putting out there.
Yeah, it's great perspective, man. It's also interesting because when you win, people are just paying attention more.
Yeah.
And it's, of course, there's going to be more critics because more people are watching. And Spurs are interesting. Now, I'm not cheering a lick for the Spurs. I mean, they're the same division as the Pelicans, so I want them to lose every game they play. But it was a fascinating storyline. So, I mean, you've had a front row seat, too, with both Zion and Wemby. Always appreciate the perspective. He is Andrew Lopez, Pelicans sideline reporter. Y'all give him a follow at _Andrew_Lopez. By the way, Jaron Pierre just followed me on Twitter. So,
hey, there you go. He heard us talking about it on the radio. Shout out, Jaron.
Love
a couple days, bro.
Thank you, man.
Later.
All right, we'll see. It's after further review. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. It's Parish Restoration. Man, I love telling you about Parish Restoration. Mr. Jim's great dude. He's a veteran, Air Force veteran, who, when his military career ended, he got into disaster recovery. He was there post 9/11, made his way back to the Gulf Coast after the BP oil spill, now helps homeowners, business owners like you and me every day. You need mold remediation done right the first time, you want Parish Restoration. Water intrusion, and you need remediation done, Parish Restoration can help with that as well. Maybe he's got odor. Maybe it's smoke smell or remediation after a fire. Parish Restoration. ParishRestoration.com, ParishRestoration.com, ParishRestoration.com. All right, it's after further review, halfway home here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows. Appreciate Andrew Lopez for the time. Michael Papirski was here last hour. Brian Smith from the Locked On Podcast Network does an awesome job. National recruiting analyst. He'll be with us in 30 minutes. I want to talk about, so we have a massive, collectively, we sports fans recruiting, we have a massive week coming up because July 1st is sort of this, actually Rivals is calling it the summer signing day, where there's just going to be a ton of announcements, commitment announcements on July 1st. Some are going to be July 4th. You just had the opening where Pop Houston was a star. We had a lot to talk about, so I want to get Brian Smith's perspective. We'll do that in 30 minutes from right now, so you have to leave, come back for that. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back, tell you about my weekend in Natchitoches at the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And I want to circle back to the conversation we were having a bit at the end of last hour about the new LSU Arena project, because I'm getting so much response on this on the text line, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. So I want to dive into some of that. Stay with us. It's AFR.
AFR.
If you're thinking of selling your home, call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. You know, about once a week, I get an email from Darren. It's a market report for my home, my home, my property. I tell you all the time, if you're thinking of selling your home, well, the first thing you have to do is know what your home's worth. So if you want to know what your home's worth, go to the website, agent225.com, agent225.com. There's a home value tool. So if it's on mobile, you'll see it right there on the homepage. If you're on desktop, bottom right, you'll see where it says home value. Just click that, plug in your address, enter. In a matter of seconds, it'll use local market data to spit out your home's estimated value. It's a free tool. It's at agent225.com. If you need to sell your home, you know what to do. Call Darren James to get your home sold, agent225.com.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
All right, rolling along. Thanks for hanging out with us here. I want to send a sincere thank you to the Louisiana Sports Writers Association. This weekend was the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame on Saturday, the induction Saturday night. Sunday is the annual awards banquet there in conjunction in Natchitoches. And AFR took home a couple of awards we won first place for the best radio show. So that's me and Musso and Paulie, of course. And appreciate sincerely that honor. Hat tip to our buddy RP3 and then our buddy Darson Iserloh. RP3 and James Mesh for RP3 and Mesh over in Lafayette took home second place. And then JJ Marshall and Ben Marshall in up in Shreveport were third. And then our buddy D'Lo was honorable mention. And then we also took home first place for the best interview. And it was, if you remember, the conversation we had with Kenny Lacy and Matthew Ory. And, of course, Kenny Lacy is Kyron's father, who we had in studio amid the surveillance video that was released, and it was an emotional conversation, as you might imagine, if you remember it. But it was one of those where whenever they announce these awards, they also publish the judges' comments. And the judges' comments on that interview was a really well-done interview where the host got out of the way and let the guest words and emotions tell the story. Not an easy interview, and the host did exactly what was needed. Which it was interesting to read that because, quite honestly, I would tell anybody that ever is trying to learn the art of it, and there is an art to interviewing, as the host, talk less. The reason you have a guest is to hear them talk. And it's hard sometimes because the inclination is to want to speak. You need to shut up and get out of the way. And that was one of those where, man, I'm so, but the other thing too, I'll tell you, is I'm so grateful to Kenny and attorney Matthew Ory for not only their willingness to come in studio, but for Kenny's willingness to be vulnerable and to share. The thing you can never lose sight of is that man's child is dead. He will never see his son again. If you're a parent, it's the worst nightmare any of us can imagine. And tragically, for some of you, have experienced. And I can't even imagine what it's like to come on a big platform and to talk about that. And so all I need to do is shut up. I mean, it was Kenny's willingness to share, which was an incredible gift he gave me and our audience and everyone's willingness to share that day. And it was moving, and regardless of where you fall on everything that happened with Kyron and the wreck, and it was a tragic situation all the way around. For the gentleman who lost his life in the car accident, of course, Kyron's tragic passing, I mean, there's no winners at all. So it's not about where you fall or any of that stuff. It was just, I'm grateful that Kenny came here, shared, and gave us all something to talk, a perspective to consider in that. So anyway, thank you to the LSWA for the recognition, but that's way more a thank you to Kenny for his willingness to share. All right, it's after further review. Glad you're aboard with us here on this Monday edition of AFR. Real quick, by the way, today will be the last day. I'll be here for 2 weeks. So I fly to New York tomorrow for the annual Barrett Sports Media Conference. I'll be flying home on Thursday, but then Friday I head to the beach, and then I'm out all next week. So Musso will be back tomorrow, hosting for the remainder of this week, and then next week everyone's off Friday as we recognize the 4th of July, which is Saturday. But Musso will be back tomorrow. I think Paul's out all this week as well. So it's that time of the year where everyone gets out. Everyone just leaves until before football season because we know the grind is nigh. But Musso will be in the chair tomorrow. We'll look forward to welcoming him back. Hey, we're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020. It's a great time of year to get that refractive procedure done because it's the summertime, right? If you want to take time off of work. And by the way, there's very little downtime. I mean, I had my LASIK done. I was doing AFR the next day. So it's not like you're going to have a tremendous amount of downtime. But if you want to find time here in the summer months to get it done, you can. Set up that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson. If it's LASIK, if it's PRK, if it's custom lens replacement, if it's the EVO ICL, just understand there's so many different options. It's no longer just, I'm not a candidate for LASIK. It's not that anymore. Ophthalmology has grown by leaps and bounds, and Dr. Blake Williamson is at the forefront of that internationally. And he's right here in Baton Rouge. WilliamsonEye.com, WilliamsonEye.com. You want to see 2020, call 924-2020 for the Williamson Eye Center. Hey, congratulations to this year's Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame induction class. It was a real pleasure this weekend, Saturday, to have been invited alongside Victor Howell to MC that event. We got to conduct interviews with all the inductees. So I had an opportunity to interview Dwayne Strother from Florine, who is the second winningest girls high school basketball coach in the history of girls basketball in the United States. Incredible honor. Todd McClure, Pat Williams, Mike McConaughey, and Jonathan Lucroy. I had the opportunity to interview those five on stage. It was great to be a very, very small part of a special day. One thing I encourage you to do if you've never been up to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, pick a day, go up to Natchitoches, make it a day trip or spend the night. The Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame is a gem. I mean, they have done such a remarkable job with that facility. And it's something our state really can be proud of. And I first went to Natchitoches about 5 years ago because of the induction when I did the Purple Carpet Show. And it was my first time seeing the museum and all of it. And that whole area right on the Cane River in Natchitoches is just gorgeous. I mean, if you've never been, just book an Airbnb or book a hotel room and go spend a day, eat at their restaurants and shop in their shops and spend a day touring the Hall of Fame. It really is an awesome spot. And they have a new display, by the way. It's one of the things they announced at the Hall of Fame. They have a new Billy Cannon display. As LPB announced, they are about to premiere a new Billy Cannon documentary with a lot of untold stories. You would think that everything about Dr. Cannon and his life has been told or would have been told by this point. Apparently not. And so they interviewed a bunch of his former teammates, and not just about the run, but his whole life and everything. So I can't wait to watch that on LPB whenever it debuts. But highly recommend, find time to get up there. And I know I've shared this with you in the past, but for the last 2 years, I've had the real honor to be part of the voting process for the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And y'all, I'm telling you, I wish everyone could see this process. Like, I wish it was broadcast. Not that you'd be interested in watching the whole thing, but it is just, you get the ballot, and collectively we discuss and debate every name on the ballot, and it takes 2 hours just to go through the conversation of the people on the ballot before you ever even start voting. And you look at the ballot and you go, how is that person not in? And it's just like, yes to everyone. So you make it into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. It is a real honor. And it's one of the things that my eyes have been open to in the past couple of years. And it's a great organization and something that Louisiana sports fans should be proud of. I know I'm sitting here, I'm blabbing a little bit, but all I can say is I would highly encourage you, man. Like, find a time, take your kids, take your family, go to Natchitoches, go see the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, spend a day. You'll be glad that you did. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll do Tigers of the Pros, talk some recruiting with Brian Smith in 15 minutes. Stay here.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance. Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Watermark, Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge's premier hotel property. Not me saying it, as you saying it. Voted by you the best hotel in the best of 225. And you walk into Watermark Baton Rouge, and you will instantly understand it. I mean, it is the picture of a luxury hotel in Baton Rouge. This historic building where they maintained all the historical integrity, the beautiful marble staircases, all the artwork as you walk through the what is now the lobby area there on the facade. It is gorgeous. You go down that stairwell into the underneath the building, and all the old bank vaults now have been hollowed out into private dining and private meeting spaces. I mean, it is an awesome experience. You eat at the Gregory, you have a cocktail at the bar in the lobby, or maybe you're just looking for a little staycation. Get by and see our friends at Watermark Baton Rouge, right there downtown on the corner of 3rd and Convention. It's Watermark Baton Rouge on 3rd Street.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding, and oh, we do shutters too.
All right, we are wrapping up hour number 2. Our Monday shows, as always, are presented by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Oh, we'll talk recruiting with Brian Smith. He's a national recruiting analyst for the Locked On Podcast Network. He's coming up with us in about 12 minutes from right now. And really interesting conversation DeMario Davis had with Rich Cimini from ESPN New York. I want to dive into that. We'll get to that next hour as well. So it's a ton to do. Right now, though, Jordan has Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, so Dylan Cruz last night went 1 for 3 with 1 walk, 1 strikeout as the Nationals beat the Orioles 6-4. On the season, his batting average went up just a little bit. Now he's batting .226 with 5 home runs and 17 RBIs. So Alex Bregman last night went 0 for 4 with 1 run, 1 strikeout, and 2 walks as the Cubs beat the Brewers 4-3. On the season right now, he's batting .238, 6 home runs, and 27 RBIs. And last night, Angel Reese last night, 17 points, 9 rebounds with 2 steals as the Storm beat the Dream, so they fall 105-90. She averaged on the season 14.8 points per game, 11.6 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. And Flau'jae Johnson, as I said, the Dream and the Storm played last night, so Flau'jae had probably her best game of her career so far, 24 points and 11 rebounds, so double-double with 4 assists, 2 steals. As like I said, the Storm beat the Dream 105-90. And then lastly, Sam Burns finished tied for 12th at the Travelers Championship. He shot a -15, so that's it for Tigers in the pros.
15 under doesn't even get you in the top 10. It's crazy. We're running about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Hey, remember, always encourage you to go to the website, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. If you're a farmer, no doubt you know about First South Farm Credit because they've been helping farmers buy agriculture land for more than 100 years. But if it's maybe it's that hunting property, maybe it's just your recreational property in Mississippi, maybe you want to go buy a ranch in Montana. They can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48. Buying land is different than buying a home. You know that. So trust the people who have helped Louisianans buy land for more than 100 years. First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthfarmcredit.com, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. One more time, firstsouthfarmcredit.com. Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Monday edition of AFR. I'm still encouraging you, if you would, to pop onto Twitter, X, whatever, or Facebook and find the post that I made about the arena. And I am I'm not surprised, but I'm a smidge disappointed that it's gone the way that I thought it has. Overwhelmingly, as I look to the responses, the overwhelming majority of you are in favor of a new arena. Like, you want to see this happen, but the disappointing part is that most people assume that there's political corruption and all the things that have typically slowed our progress in Louisiana that are holding this back. The Maravich Center is outdated. A new arena on the river would be a landmark venue. And as I heard my buddy Julio Malera say this weekend, Baton Rouge has not had a transformative development in 20 years, really since the Shaw Center for the Arts was built 20 years ago. So it's time, and it will be an incredible epicenter for the medical development in the second phase, for restaurants, and for business opportunities and for nightlife and music and culture and all the things that make this really all of Louisiana amazing. We have jobs in Louisiana, which is something a lot of places don't have. We don't have the types of things that keep and want to keep young people here. That would be a huge part of it. It's massive for LSU and our city. It's AFR.
AFR.
Man, I love telling you about Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. I love telling you about Lee Michaels because I love the people and the concept behind Lee Michaels. Man, when you are in business for 40 years and you've grown and you've maintained that foothold as a locally owned, family-owned business that's grown to be one of the top 100 businesses in the Capital Region every year, they make the business reports list. You're doing things right. And they got 9 locations. So 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. When you're buying for 9 stores, you have incredible buying power, which means you're passing along great selection and great prices to your customer. And when you can do that and perfect the customer service experience, well, that's how you end up being the best. So thrill her with a gift in the red box from Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com.